Hello everyone, welcome back to mine and Chloe's little chat. These are becoming quite a regular thing, aren't they now?
Yeah, cute.
Yeah, God, up in the budget. It's fine. Anyway, today we've got a bit of a deeper one.
Yeah, a bit more of a serious one.
A bit more of a serious one.
Yeah.
You know, to show people we're versatile, right? We don't just talk about sex. Okay, we've got other things in my locker,
Yeah.
haven't we? So this has just come after the whole Sarah Everard thing. It's just blew up on Twitter.
Yeah, like a lot of people are speaking up about it.
A lot of people are speaking up
Yeah.
about it. Now, we're not going to talk about the specifics of that because we know a bit about it, but I just don't really want to comment specifically on her case.
Yeah, definitely.
First off, if you want to talk about it, have you really experienced anything where you've been made to feel uncomfortable by a lad that I need to chin and knock out right now, the fucking little sket?
Yeah, loads.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you how many times.
But what
Countless.
is that uncomfortable, like sexually harassment uncomfortable, or just uncomfortable where you've kind of felt like I'm just going to have to leave this kind of, like this guy intimidates me a bit?
Both.
Is that...
Like, I think they're both quite different, but they're both different, but they both make you feel very similar.
Yeah.
So, like, say when I was a waitress for a while, so I had some men there who were quite flirty.
Mm.
When you're in that sort of situation, you've got to still be polite. I mean, like, you try and be polite anyway, but sometimes if you're being made to feel uncomfortable, you don't have to be polite. You can basically just tell them, look, you're making us feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But in
But
a
if
work
they're kinda just-
situation,
yeah.
it's hard to do that.
For lads watching, that maybe, I don't know, go to fucking the Toby. What is it that made you feel uncomfortable?
It's stuff like when people are being very persistent. Like, I think it's quite obvious when someone is showing you that either they're not interested or if they're uncomfortable. I think I think that's quite obvious. Like, if I'm speaking to somebody and I can tell if that person doesn't want to speak to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like in a workplace, people kind of abuse their power because they know that they've got to listen to them, they've got to talk to them.
Oh, okay, right. So, but what happens, like, if you're, let's say, a lad or a woman, whatever, is having a laugh, just literally having a laugh, but then it's when it gets to, like, kind of flirting, is that what you're trying to say?
No, like, if you're just having a laugh, that's totally fine. Like, if you can see that the woman you're talking to or the person you're talking to is bouncing off and having a fun, like, you can see that they're not uncomfortable. Oh, that's totally fine. That's just a normal conversation.
Yeah.
But it's when you can see someone's clearly uncomfortable with the comments you're making, and, like, say they're just trying to do their job, they're not here to flirt with you. They just want to do their job.
Is that mostly comments about maybe it's your body or something, or maybe it's like little kind of, is it that kind of thing?
Kind of, yeah, but I mean, it can be literally anything. Like, I had a man once who was like, who I was serving, and he came in quite a lot, and he was like, oh, can you come over here, please? And I was like, oh, yeah, thinking I needed help because I was really busy, and I had a lot of tables to serve, and he was like, and I was like, yeah, what can I help you with? And he was like, nah, I just want to look at you.
What's his fucking name? What's his
and
name?
I was just like, I just felt really
I'm gonna
uncomfortable.
fucking knock you out, stupid bastard.
So I just, like, obviously that made us feel really uncomfortable because I'm like, I don't know how to respond to that. Like, it was very.
I want to look at you.
Yeah, he's like,
what the fuck's that about, you stupid fucking idiot?
Yeah, like that.
Get your turkey and fuck off.
So that was a bit odd. And then later on in the night, he asked us to come over again, and he gives his phone and went, "Can you fill that in?" And it was like the number thing, and I just, like, kind of laughed it off and said no. Because, like, you can't be rude. Like, if someone said that to me in the street, I'd tell them where to go.
Yeah,
but,
because
like,
you'll lose your job.
Yeah, but I mean, I probably wouldn't in the street. I'd probably be scared as well. But, like, say on a night out, if
Can you
someone
fill
was
that in at your P45?
No, but, like, if it was like, say, like, to be fair, if someone came up to us on the street, I'd probably still be a bit scared.
Yeah.
But if it's on a night out, say, like, in a smoking area or in a club, I've got a bit of drink in us, so I'll tell them where to go.
One of the biggest things we've talked about is, like, when someone tries to get past somebody. Like, so if not that I'm literally just saying what I do, if I have to get past a lads, normally I'll just kind of, like, because lads are more buff, I can kind of just go like that.
Yeah.
And just kind of, like, I'll say excuse me, but I'll kind of, you know, just...
You move them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when they're last, I'm always like... can I just do you get like,
yeah.
It's always a bit more awkward for me, because I'm like, obviously with a lad I'm always like, can I just get there past here, mate? Like, I'm always more forceful, but with a lass I'd feel uncomfortable being like that, because one, I feel like maybe if she was a bit smaller she could actually fall over.
Tough man.
Sorry. And secondly, I always feel a bit uncomfortable when I'm in a club getting past girls, because I hate being touchy-feely with anyone, really, but with the lass, I'm like, sometimes I'll even just give the one finger tap.
No, I agree, because, like, I don't like people touching me, like strangers touching me, no matter what. Like, say, like, even if it's somebody that like is having a conversation with us and they're too close having a conversation with us, I'm like, oh, get away from us.
Yeah.
So like when somebody's walking past me in a club and grabbing my waist or grabbing me arse trying to walk past us, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
So
all I do when if like it's crowded, I'll just kind of like do a little tap of the shoulder and go, sorry, excuse me, and then like shimmy past. Like, no matter who it is, I'll just kind of tap shoulder. I think shoulder's a safe bet, to just be like a little tap and go, sorry, excuse me. Like, you don't have to grab someone, because the people who do it, you wouldn't see them grabbing a guy's waist.
Yeah, so for people watching, what is it like? Obviously makes you feel uncomfortable. It's like but either your arse or you below your waist, innit? Or is it your waist as well?
I think it's just weird to touch a stranger anyway when they haven't give you permission. So I think the safest bet is to like just kind of tap arms or tap shoulders. Like, I think if you touch people's bodies like round there, it's a bit odd.
True, very true. But also I think with a lad before, I've probably like, obviously that's what I normally do, but I've probably like with a lad like round here, probably like to get past him, probably went like that. I don't think I would have done it with a lass because felt uncomfortable. With a lad, I've probably just, I don't know. I
think everybody's different, but I just don't like being touched by strangers.
Yeah.
I think that's quite fair. So like, it's just, especially when people are like grabbing your waist and grabbing your hips, that's just creepy. Like, no, you wouldn't do if you wouldn't touch a guy like that to try and get past them. Why would you touch a girl like that to try and get past her?
Yeah.
When you don't know her.
Why do you think lads do it then?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I've had like people before in clubs like walk past and like smack me arse. Which that's you can tell that's because they're trying to be a little flirty dickhead.
Yeah.
And I've turned around before and smacked them back. Like, just not on their arse, but just smacked them back. And then...
oh, okay. Boof!
Imagine.
How do you like it, Tiger?
No, but like, I've turned around and like smacked them back, and then they've been like, oh, what you doing? It's like, you've just smacked me, so what's the difference?
Yeah.
And like, I've also had like I've had like a man come up to us, I think it was like my 19th birthday. I was like waiting outside the kebab shop, and a man walked up to us. A man walked up to us and like grabbed us by me foof. The people I was with were inside the kebab shop, so I went in and I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, what the fuck? This has just happened. And a girl was in the kebab shop crying, going, and then like a guy that she was with turned around and was like, oh my god, he's just done it to her too. And I was like, what?
Who the fuck's this cunt? The foof fiddler?
No, I bumped into so many girls that night that it happened to, like in the kebab shop. They were going, oh yeah, I did it to me,
What do you mean? Just like he
went up to us and fully then like that. So then later on in the night, he obviously did it to the wrong girl because her boyfriend battered him, and we found him, and I had to ring. That's another thing actually. So we're seeing that happen in front of her. This boy, like hitting this man because he just touched our girlfriend. He was on the floor and there was blood everywhere, and I was like, even though he's just done this, I can't just leave him there. So I rang an ambulance, and I was like,
I was half hoping you were saying you just touched his dick.
No,
who's got the power now, man?
No, we ran an ambulance, and I was speaking to the ambulance people, and I was like, oh, basically, he's done, because they said, like, what happened.
Yeah.
I explained it to them, and then I was like, is there any way we can get in contact with police and report it? Anyway, and basically, they told me, don't bother reporting it, because you're just going to get fucked around in courthouses and nothing's going to happen.
Who, the paramedic said that? Was it a lass or a lad?
A lass.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you reckon that's from personal experience?
Possibly.
Relating it, like, back to the start where we said about that lass, do you think this is why there's such a massive outburst on Twitter when these things happen, because people just feel like they're not getting heard?
Oh yeah, definitely, because you see it all the time on Twitter where someone will open up about their experience and people will just call them a liar because there's no proof. But there's rarely proof of sexual assault, because
I think a lot of the times with sexual assault, at least from what I've gauged from friends and from what you're saying and stuff, a lot of the times people come out months after when they feel comfortable. So by that time, it's like you probably don't even know what he looks like.
But like a lot of the time it can be, at the time you're not taking it too seriously. Like, say if it's like somebody has grabbed you, like that guy grabbed me, or like somebody has done something like that with you on the street or like in a club, at the time you don't think it's that serious. Yeah. It can take you a long time to realise it's actually happened to you. So
it's like kind of denial.
Yeah. So you can think in your head for the longest time, yeah, no, it was consensual. Either it was consensual because I was in a relationship with them, so that means it was consensual, or I've done it before with them, so that means it's consensual, or like I must have flirted with them, so that means I said yes.
Oh, so you're saying you're kind of
like some people like try and explain it in their head to be say, well, yeah, I must have said yes.
Oh, so as if it's like you try and find any way to make it normal.
Once you start speaking to other people and when you start hearing things, you're like, and you start really thinking about it, you're like, nah, that I was just in denial there. That actually happened.
But that's like what you're saying there. Like you've obviously worked that out in like a couple of minutes, but that's like a month to a year process, isn't it?
So long.
And by that time, nothing can really be done. It's no one's. Well, it's that person's fault, but it's not your fault. It's not the police's fault, because how the fuck could the police catch someone like that?
Exactly. And I think, like, say, obviously, when you hear about cases about sexual assault and rape, a lot of the time, you kind of, like in movies and stuff, you hear about you're walking down a dark alley and a stranger does it to you.
Like Batman kind of stuff.
Yeah, so like when it's like that, you're probably going to report it and there's going to be evidence.
Yeah.
Because you're going to report it on the night, whereas the majority of the time it happens by somebody that you know, like someone that you're either in a relationship with or someone you're friends with.
Yeah.
So it might take you a while to realise that actually happened.
It's obviously like whatever it is, whether it's, even if it's just like grabbing someone, whatever, however small it is, it's like obviously it's physical assault, but it's a lot more, what it seems is like a lot more emotional.
Yeah, definitely. Like, even though like obviously it obviously depends on the type of thing, but it can hurt. But I think it definitely is more of a internalized thing that really hurts. After
the Sarah thing happened, Twitter went mental, like fucking mental. Everyone was tweeting about it. Which is, and you obviously always see kind of sexual assault tweets, but not as much as that day. And in response to a few tweets, a lot of tweets, you get, I'd say on that fucking like every tweet that blew up to an extent, there's always a couple of people that say that phrase, not all men.
Yeah.
Where I just want to ask you what you think of that.
It's very obvious, like women can be abusers too, women can be like harass people too. It's just that as a woman, I'm scared to walk home at night, or like I'll be scared to walk anywhere by myself really if it's not a crowded place, because I don't know what a stranger's gonna do. So like I could be walking down the street and a man could be behind me. He could be the loveliest man ever, but I don't know that because I don't know him. And because I've experienced bad men before, I'm not going to take that risk and find out if he's one of the bad people or one of the good people. So even though I know it's not all men, but that doesn't mean I'm not wary of all men.
With what you're saying, but you see, you know it's not all men, and you don't want to try if it's all men or whatever. I think a lot of, just like, this is not my point of view, but I can see it from a lad's point of view, where they'll see what you're saying and go, yeah, but that's not me. Like, that's not me. But like, what I'm going to say is, if a lad replies to some tweet, even if it's a tweet with like 10 likes, it doesn't matter because people will see that. You commenting not all men invalidates the actual tweet.
Yeah, totally.
Which means
you're making it about you.
Yeah, which means you can't see it from anyone else's point of view, because you can only see it like, well, it's not me, so then all of these doesn't matter, but you're invalidating the actual issue. No one thinks Johnny fucking Taylor, you are a mass rapist.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But why do you need everybody to know that?
Yeah, I think I've got a couple of things to say about that. The only way I can kind of relate to the men in this situation, to like put myself in their shoes, like to say I wanted to see, if I was in that position, would I be upset?
Yeah.
So obviously, Black Lives Matter. That's a very big thing right now, and it carries on being a big thing. So when I hear people talking about that, like people of colour, I don't get offended by that. Like, I'll happily listen to them and I'll learn from what they've got to say.
Yeah.
And like when I see like TikToks or things of people of colour taking the piss out of white people, I don't get offended. Say a white person's like being racist to me and they're telling their story about something that's happened to them. I don't get offended by that because I know that I'm not one of those white people that is racist.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Weird. Yeah.
So that's the only way I can kind of put it in my head. So if you aren't a racist, you're not going to get offended by Black Lives Matter and say all lives matter. And I think that's quite similar with, it's obviously very different situations, but I think you can make crossovers between the, like, for examples. So I think with the not all men is very similar to all lives matter in the way that you're reflecting something there.
I think what I totally agree, like 1,000,000%. I totally agree, but just I'm trying to put myself in like lads' shoes that comment it. It's more just a instant defensive nature for some reason. Whereas I don't even think lads, most of the lads that are commenting, not all men. Well, I'll not say most. I'll say a few.
Yeah.
Have probably not done anything that is shady to a woman.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they instantly need to put the guard up. Like,
Yeah,
no,
I
it's not me. It's like, but we know it's not you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's strange. Like I said before, like obviously racism and sexism are two completely different things. So you can't compare the two really. But with this kind of situation, I'm just kind of making links for an example.
Yeah.
People aren't getting angry at you because they think it is all men. They're getting angry because you're taking the attention away from the person who's speaking about their story to you and trying to say, I'm a good person. No, it's not me. I'm not like this. Like, no, in that sort of situation, you just need to be quiet and listen and see what you can do to help.
Yeah. So would you say catcalling is a sign of sexual harassment?
I don't know enough about the definitions to be able to say, yes, this is definitely sexual assault and yes, this isn't. But I will say that it does make you feel really uncomfortable, and yet nobody has ever been flattered from being catcalled. It's not a good
thing.
thing.
That I don't get, right? You're driving a fucking van, right? Like, being in a van, okay? I've been helping people out. I would never crack down the window and go, can't even do it, so that's probably the reason. What do you expect the lass is going to be? Oh, Jimmy!
Cheers, do you want to see me
Yeah,
tits?
there you fucking can.
I got catcalled more, like, from, like, men in vans and stuff when I was, like, in school, walking back and forth from school than I do now.
Weird. That's fucking weird.
Like, as an adult. You'd expect people to catcall adults more than they do children, but I was catcalled more as a child, and I've heard a lot of people say similar things.
That's fucking strange, isn't it?
It's really strange.
What
really
you trying to say,
strange.
That people in vans are paedophiles?
Well, no, obviously not all van men, but... No, like...
Can we get a not all van men in the chat, please? So, a few people asked, with the stuff going on, what can men do to make women feel more comfortable at night when they're walking behind them? So we've talked about this. So, you know, if you're walking down the street and a lad's behind you, now this lad might be fucking having his headphones and he might have just finished football work. He's not like you don't know
he's
this,
not a threat,
but he is not a threat.
Yeah.
Can go down.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna talk to this girl. I'm not gonna even look at this girl. But I feel a little bit like she's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So what I always do, I'll like fucking cross the road. But then I think, should I have to cross the road because I'm not gonna do anything?
It's not that big of a deal, but I could understand why that would be a bit of an inconvenience if you've got to wait and cross the road. I mean, obviously it's not that hard of a task, but I understand why it could be an inconvenience. I think just kind of make yourself known. So, like...
Just shout.
No.
Like, I am here.
No, like...
I am overtaking.
I should definitely think you're a fucking mental person. Especially if you're behind someone. I always get nervous when someone's behind us because I don't want to keep turning around and trying to figure out how far away from us they are.
Yeah.
So if I can hear somebody on the phone or, like, making some kind of noise or something, I know how far away from me they are, so I know they're not quickly approaching us.
I think the only reason I realised it is because when I was like a kid, I used to have like, I remember I got like these kids like kind of beat us up one time in my street, and ever since then I always had anxiety, so I'd always be chatting behind us.
Yeah.
So you obviously have like probably have it a lot worse because it's every fucking day. But I remember, I think that is why I now know, because otherwise I wouldn't know really.
Yeah,
Lasses get uncomfortable.
I've seen people say like, well, me as a man, I also feel uncomfortable at night walking home. I feel scared sometimes, and it's like, but why is that? Do you think a woman's gonna come and scare you with that, like go and kill you? I think not to be stereotypes.
No, I don't know. I think with lads walking home, I don't think they necessarily think of a gender walking home. I think they think of knives. I think they think of fucking a group. I think it's a group, whether it's got lasses and lads in. I don't think it's fair to just say lads for that.
Okay, I've just saw a lot of people.
I've saw that on Twitter, but I think when I've felt a bit shady walking home, I'm never thinking, oh, a lad's gonna attack us. I'm thinking, I don't even think of the gender. I just think knife. Like, even if it's a lass with a knife is stronger than me.
Yeah, very true, very true.
Anyway, thank you very much for watching, people. If you want to watch another episode of this, there's some here. And thank you very much, and we'll see you in a bit.